Alright, so let's look at Unit 3, Module 2, which is still spreadsheets using and as databases. We're going to take a look at data filtering. And from time to time, you're going to have to be able to, you're going to have a need to filter out your data. If you've got a lot of data in a big spreadsheet and you want to look at any specific account number, any specific name, whatever, you can use filtering to do this. It basically takes out the less important data and shows you what you need to see. So let's say we want to sort by, or I'm sorry, we want to filter by account number. So we're going to pick our account number column here, and we're going to go up and click sort and filter, just like we did before. Click filter, and here, as you notice, it changed it. It made it a drop. There's a drop down arrow on your header. Click on it, and it gives you all of your account numbers. First thing you're going to have to do is unselect all, or select all. So you unclick select all, and it takes all the information out. Then you would want to go through your filters and actually look at it and go through your account numbers and find what you want to filter. Let's say we want to filter this number here. We just click it and hit OK, and as you see, it pulls the information. It's the 10th row down, but it still pulls this information out so you can filter it out. You want to unfilter, again, you just click back on this, and if you want to go back to all, you just click select all and hit OK, and it shows everything here. You could pick all your data, highlight all like this, go back up, sort and filter, and click filter, unfiltered it. Then we want to go back and refilter, so we're picking all our data there, click sort and filter, click the filter, and it filters for all your data. So here's if you wanted to click by salesperson, you could just say, alright, I want to look for the ones for Peg Bundy, but you got to unclick all first. Click it. It's only going to show you what you've selected, which was the 2nd row and the 8th row. And again, you go back in, select all, hit OK. There are other filters to use. For example, you can clear by, you can text filter, which you can equals, does not equal, begin with, ends with, contain, does not contain. You can go to account number. You can number filters. You could equal, does not equal, greater, less than, above average, below average. And let's just, for example, click above average. It will give you your above average sales. And as you can see, the 3rd one and the 11th one. So, and we're just going to unfilter those. We're going to unclick the number filter. We're going to go back to number filter, and we're going to do above average. There, you're going to click it. So the next part is actually outlining, grouping, and subtotals. This is a way to assist you in organizing data into groups, or organizing information into subtotals, or amounts into subtotals. And if you'll just take a look at the PowerPoint slides, there is more detailed information on that. I'm not going to go over it completely, so I just suggest you go in and take a look at it. We're just going to take an example at just subtotals for right now. Now, the first thing you want to do when you're working with subtotals, or you want to try to subtotal your information out, is you got to make sure that your information, your spreadsheet, is back into a range. It's not a table. Now, if you look at this, you can see that we've got drop down arrows in our filter, but we know that this is just a range. So if you click anywhere in the data, you see that there's no design tab or table tool tab with design up here beside your Acrobat tab. So just want to show you the difference. Clicking on data, or go back to your home page, click on format as table, pick the same thing. You can see, just like we did before, now you have table tools and design. So you want to make sure that you've converted it to a range and it's no longer there. Okay, so in this example for subtotals, you have to do an extra step, and you may have to do this from time to time to actually break it out to where the data is more manageable. The first thing for this subtotal example, we want to actually break it out by salesperson. We want to subtotal what salesperson is selling, how much they're selling. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to have to sort this out by, you're going to actually have to combine and sort it by names. So we're going to go up and sort from A to Z, expand the selection, and boom, it basically brings it, it gathers your data according to salesperson. Example, again, Fred Sanford, Hank Hill, Peg Bundy, and the web. So then we're going to select all our information here, and we're going to go to the data tab, and in the data tab you can see that you can do various things that we're going to cover later. You can sort and filter here too, but we're going to want a subtotal. So if you go over to your outline group and you click subtotal, so this is telling you there's an error. Telling me that it's found a row of data immediately above your table or database. If the row contains columns, you should include it in your selection. The filter command will work properly. Do you want to include the row in your selection? So it's basically telling me that in my selection it has found that I have a label, that I have rows contain column labels. So yes, I do want to include it. Okay, so now you get the subtotal floating window that comes up. And in it, what we're wanting to do is at each change in whatever column here. So here we're going to say you can pick all of these. So for what we want to do is we want to pick salesperson. You may have to pick something else, but at each change in this, at each change in a salesperson, we're going to use the function sum. There's more functions, so you can count average, maximum, your minimum, your product, count numbers, standard deviation. But we're just concerned with sum. And add the subtotals to this column. These are the columns that they want to add the subtotals up. As you can see, it's customer account number, address, zip code, salesperson order number, and sales. So we're going to want to use sales because we're going to want to add up the sales at each change in salesperson. So we're going to replace current subtotals, and then we're going to summarize all the data below, or summarize below data. You could do a page break between groups, which it would actually throw a page break in each of your between each cell. We're not going to do that. It will make your Excel spreadsheet very large and cumbersome. So we're going to hit OK. And then if we look at the data under each line, now what happens here is you start to break out the data by the subtotals. And if you notice where the pointer is, in each of these it breaks out the subtotal. So for this negative number, for this minus, this is on the same row with Fred Sanford's total. So if you wanted to make that one hide, you just click it. It's going to go away. It's going to give you it's not going to give you the detailed information above it. It's just going to show you Fred Sanford totals. Same thing with the Hank Hill total. Click this, it goes to Hank Hill totals. And then Peg Bundy totals, and then the web totals. So you could break this down to a smaller smaller spreadsheet and just make it to where it only shows you each total. And then again, if you wanted to break it out, you click the positive button. Then it breaks it down to Fred Sanford's total. Breaks it out Hank Hill, Peg Bundy's, and the web's total. It actually breaks it out with a grand total at the bottom. So now, if you wanted to ungroup or unsubtotal, you can actually click this and it will totally take it all out. So you won't see any information. So you have to, if you ever open a spreadsheet and you see that there's nothing in there and there's subtotals built with the plus and minus, you'd have to click that to open it. So okay, so how would you want to undo this or remove these subtotals? What you want to do is you're going to want to click all your data again. You're going to go back up to your outline group in your data tab. You're going to click this. It's going to bring your floating subtotal window up. Real simple. You just basically click remove all, and it goes back to what you had in the spreadsheet in the previous information. Alright, so we're still talking about analyzing data and using Excel as a database. So there's going to be times when you may have to be working with thousands of rows of data, or hundreds of rows, or just a lot. So, and you may want to find trends or patterns that may be important to forecasting or making decisions for your company or for your life or for whatever. So charts will help you with it, but another tool that Excel has is conditional formatting. And you basically want to set up rules in conditional formatting. So if you look under your Home tab, under your Styles group, you're going to see the icon or the actual tool, Conditional Formatting. Then you basically click it. Okay, so there's three types. The three types of commands. You've got your highlight cell rules, your top and bottom rules, and your data visualization. And as you can see here, you click on your drop down arrow and it gives you your various commands. And hovering over each of them gives you more detail on what they are. And I'm not going to go over all of them because they are in your PowerPoint slide, and I suggest just view them and you basically get to know them, get to actually familiarize with them. So the ones that I'm going to take a look at specifically is we want to highlight your sales rule, and we want to change the actual color scale so they bring out the information you're looking for. So let's say that looking at our sheet here, I'm going to click back off of it. We've got we're having some negative trends. We're having some money we're having to give back. So we want to try to figure out, okay, why is this happening? And I mean, I'm not going to go into all that, just to show you the tools of how to use it. So you got a huge spreadsheet. You want to find your negative. You want to find your loss. You want to find a trend like that. So I would go for conditional formatting. So you want to click on your conditional formatting, highlight sales rules, and we're going to be less than. So here you can format your cells that are less than a certain number. So let me hit cancel and back up real quick because I want to select the sales column. So I'm going to click the column first. Actually, I'm going to do one better. I'm going to just highlight the cells that I want to look at because I don't want to do the whole column. Go up, click your conditional formatting, highlight sales rules. We want to do less than, and we want to set a certain amount. Now, here's what it's done. It's already figured out a certain amount looking through the data that you have. So I'm going to want to make it a certain amount less than 0. Okay, so and format cells that are less than, we're going to go with 0 because we know we got some negative numbers there. And what we want to do is we're going to format these cells that are less than 0 with, here's your choices. We have a light red fill with dark red text, light red fill, yellow fill with dark yellow text, it'd be hard to read, green fill with dark green text, light red fill, a red text, a red border, or custom format. I'm only going to go through one of them, basically, the light red fill with a dark red text. Click that, and as you can see, it kind of did it already in the background. Hit OK, and there is your less than a certain amount. It's less than 0. So you can see you could actually go one better. Highlight all your data, go back up to conditional formatting, highlight cell rule, less than. We're going to do less than 0 and hit that, and it still does the same thing. It only highlights the cell specific. So it's just another way to look at it. Okay, so let's say that you have the formatting, your conditional formatting assigned, and you want to go back and change something, or you want to add something to it. On your home tab in the styles group, click for conditional formatting, and down at the very bottom, of course, you can see these are your rules again, and down at the very bottom you'll see new rule, clear rules, or manage rules. So let's say you want to, first off, let's say you want to get rid of the rules. Simply choose clear rules, and then either choose clear rules from selected cells or clear rules from entire sheet. That's how you want to take out your rules completely. But we want to add something, we want to change it, we want to tweak it, we want to adjust it. So then we want to manage, just like it said. So then you would go down to the manage rules and you click on it. Now it's going to come up with show formatting rule. It's going to come up with a conditional formatting rules manager icon or a floating window, and you see that it says show formatting rules for current selection. And there's nothing there. So you want to drop down, click your drop down arrow here, and then pick this worksheet. So you click this worksheet, and it shows you what your rules have set up. Now you can click new rule and add a new rule if you like, or you could edit it or delete it. Here's another area that you can get rid of this rule. So let's say we're going to edit it. We're going to click Edit Rule, and I step right back. If you see here, you see how it's highlighted blue. This is the rule for A1 through G17, and then the other rule is G2 through G16. So you can stop it if you want it to be true. You can stop that rule if it's true, or you can change it. Like we could go to a different one. We can change it. So we're going to click on the actual G2 through G16, the sales column. We're going to click on that one, and then we're going to hit OK. I clicked OK too soon. Let me go back and do that again. This worksheet. Click Edit Rule. Okay, so you click your Edit Rule, and here you can do different rule types. You can select your cells based on their values. You can select the cells that contain, again, top and bottom. It's the same thing as up here. So what we're going to want to do, one thing we want to do here is we want to change it from less than 0 to between. So we're going to do between 0 and negative 1 million. So let's just see what happens. And then hit OK. And then hit Apply. So you got OK, basically takes it out. You hit Cancel, it cancels it, and then you hit Apply. It actually applies the rule, and hit OK. And as you can see, it changed some things in that column. And if we go in and change this to a positive, let's go in and change that just to a positive and see what happens. Takes it out, rule changes. So you can see that as you adjust the data, it adjusts the results. Okay, so let's say that we want to change something in the formatting in that cell. Let's say we want to make it bold so it stands out even more. So we go back up to conditional formatting, and we go back to manage rules. We pick our selection. Again, we'll pick that one. We're going to edit the rule. And here, when you get the same floating window, you can click on format. Here it's going to give you a format set, the format floating window for the cell. So we're going to change it to bold if you get this. We're also going to fill it. We're going to fill it with, well, it's already been filled, so we're going to fill it. We're going to make it a border. We're going to actually add an outline border, make it a bold outline border. So just like you were formatting your normal cell, we're going to do that. And let's see, we're going to go a strike through. Let's go and throw an effect through it. So, and a double underline just to show you this, what is going on. So here's what it's going to look like. It's going to be that color. It's going to be bold. It's going to have a double underline. It's going to have a strike through. So we're going to hit OK to clear that out. We're going to hit OK again. And we're going to hit Apply. And then we're going to close it. And as you see, there it is. It shows the strike through, the double underline, and it's bold. So it can bring out that data. It can show you what you're really looking for at a quick glance. Okay, so not only can you analyze data through the conditional formatting, you can also analyze data through sort. Now sort's really easy. There's basically, it just simply puts data in order, in a certain type of order. You can do ascending, which is basically alphabetical from A to Z, or numerical from smallest to largest. Or you can do descending, which is Z to A, or numerically largest to smallest. Sorry. So the way you do that, let's say we want to sort by customer name. So we click on that column, and we can either go up to under your editing, on your home tab, under editing, you can go sort and filter. You can sort A to Z, sort Z to A, or you can custom sort. You can also filter it too. If you had a lot of data, you can filter it. So we're just going to go sort A to Z. So we click that. Now it's going to ask you, it's found data next to your selection. Since you've not selected this data, it will not be sorted. So if you don't expand the selection, it's not going to sort it. It's only going to sort the one column, which kind of will make this spreadsheet or make this data. It'll make it confusing. So you have to usually choose the expand the selection. Rarely do I ever use continue with the current selection. There may be a reason I would need it, but generally you want this whole sheet to sort. So then you click sort. Once you choose that, you click sort, and it actually tells me it's finding a circular reference. Circular reference basically says that you have incorrectly calculated a formula, and it's basically going back to 0. It's just basically making a circle. So I'm just going to hit OK, and it's going to sort it anyway. And as you can see, it sorts by, it doesn't change your header names at all, but it sorts the data in there, and it basically breaks it down for you as far as customer name. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look at Unit 3, Module 1, which is Spreadsheets as Database, or as Databases. If you just review over the PowerPoint slides, I'm not going to dive into what data is, but I suggest you read through it, just kind of get a grasp of what actually data is. So we do have to define what a table is when we're talking about databases. A table is basically a data structure that organizes information into rows and columns. These rows and columns are then called records and fields. Records, you're going to start off with a header row, which is basically the first row of the table, and it's descriptive and gives you titles and labels. Your record is each row of data. That would be a row. And your field is each column. So just as an Excel spreadsheet has information in these rows and columns, a database will have fields and records. Okay, so why would you want to use Excel as a database? Rather than using Microsoft Access. Now, we're not going to really dive into Microsoft Access with this course. This is primarily for Excel. But Microsoft Access is a specific database tool, while as Excel, as you're learning, is more for is a spreadsheet tool, which is used for calculations, complex calculations. If you were wanting only to just track data, just names, account numbers, addresses, just text data, or just data, you would really want to go with Access, and that's a more advanced class, and you can learn that as you go along in your career, both in the business world and in the academic world. So why you would want to use Excel is if you were wanting to track data as well as build some complex calculations as far as total sales, total number of products sold, that type of thing. So Excel is going to be better for analyzing that data and performing those calculations. So both of these programs have great benefits. Access is an awesome database. When you learn it, you can do a lot of tools, a lot of things with it. You can manipulate data and be a whiz. And actually, it's a very lucrative background. And you can do more searches into Access database managers and what they make and everything. I mean, it is a good career to know, a good program to know. But Excel would be just for, like I was saying, complex calculations as well as doing a little bit of data track. Alright, so how do you turn an Excel spreadsheet into a database tool? Well, first thing we got to do is we've got to change it from just a calculation type spreadsheet to a table. So as you can see here, we've got some data in this spreadsheet. We've got customer information, account number, address, zip code, salesperson, order number. Typically something a business might want to use to try to track customers. So if you look up here on the ribbon, you can see in your styles group that you have three different items here, three different choices. And as in the middle, there's format as table. This is how we're going to change this spreadsheet from a calculating spreadsheet to a database or to a table. So it's real simple. Basically, you would want to highlight your data or the area that your data is going to go in. Let's just use the first 6 columns and the first 15 rows just as an example, and you would highlight that. Go up, click Format as Table. When you click the drop down arrow there, you're going to see that you have various styles that you can pick. And again, make these easy to read for the people that are going to read these. If you like orange and something crazy color, it may not always read the best way. So just keep that in mind. So I'm just going to use something in a medium, and you can see there's light style, medium style, and dark style. I'm just going to go with a medium style, usually blue, and just click it, and then you're going to get an actual dialog window come up that's going to say format as table, and where is the data for your table. Now you already highlighted it. You can, if you just wanted to plug in another area over the side over here or whatever, do another one, you could highlight, you could put in a different formula there. You can see that this is a formula. It's equal $A through $1 or a $, that cell is going to be absolute, and then it's going to be through F15, and so there's the area. Now you can, like I said, you can put this formula in if you like. You do want to click My Table Has Headers, because that's going to add these areas here as your headers, and that's important in a database and important in a table. And then you click OK. Now, as you can see, it changed. First off, you've got your tab at the top, on your ribbon at the top, it changed, and you've got a Table Tools tab now, and under a Design tab for the Table Tools. And if you notice across the top, you also have you have drop down arrows here. Of course, the color changed because you picked it, but the thing that you really want to look for is to see if it's a table or not, is if you have these drop down arrows. These are going to be your sort areas. So you can see that here it did. So that's really all you have to do to change it to a table. Okay, so as you see, I've thrown in some information in the table, and it did some calculations. I want to fix that real quick just so we have some numbers in there. It's not calculations. Okay, let's say I wanted to add another column to that, another field to it, or another row. So all I would need to do is basically click on at the top here, like in G1. So we're going to add another field to it. And let's say I needed to know the sales, so I'm going to put sales in there. Just type in sales and hit enter. And as you see, it added it to the database. So that's, if you keep adding it, if you need to keep adding fields to it, that's as simple as you have to do. Rows, same thing, is basically just insert, and it inserted another row. Real simple. Okay, so let's say, let's just throw some numbers in here real fast. So, and we're going to make this, we're going to format this as a currency, 2 decimal places, and there. Okay, so we got some cells in there. So Excel will still do the calculations that I was saying. So, for example, let's say that you need to add these up. So you go back to your Design tab, which we were on the Home tab originally. We're going to click back on our Design tab, and then we are going to, you see right here in the Design, in this tab Style option group, you have your header rows, your banded rows, which is these. They're banded rows. The blue and the light blue are the banded rows, and then you have a total row. So let's click in G, and we're going to make that a total row. And as you can see at the bottom, it gives you a total row of those cells, so that it can still do your calculation. Just like in you can name it in your table name here. You can resize it. You can summarize it with a pivot table. You can insert a slicer. Now a slicer is a pretty cool tool, and we should be covering that in just a few. So I don't want to dive into that just yet. But anyway, there are times when you may have duplicates and you want to remove those duplicates. And basically, Excel has this, using a tool, has the ability to remove them for you. So I'm just duplicating this whole amount here. Alright. Okay, so to remove duplicates, it's really simple. All you have to do is go up in your tools group and click your area again. Click your area again here and hit remove duplicates. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to ask you to delete duplicate values, select one or more of the columns that contains the duplicates. You can select all, or you can actually select a certain column. So I'm going to go with select all just so, because I want it to go through all the columns. Hit OK. And as you can see, I got a return of 12 duplicate values found, and they removed 3. So it did remove the duplicates. Now this could be important if you were wanting, if you knew that was a duplicate, or if you sold the same amount or used the same information, it may not be a useful tool. But as you can see, it took it out. So that is one of the tools with Excel as a database. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I mentioned about a slicer, and there may be times when you actually would use a slicer or need a slicer, which it's a pretty good tool. What it does is, let's say you had to work with a large amount of data, and you wanted to actually break out and find a way to analyze specific data. There's not a lot of data on this table, but as you can see, there's a couple of different salesmen and our salesperson. So we're looking at it and we're saying, okay, we want to figure out just the sales by individual salesperson. So a slicer would be a good tool to actually use. So you go back to your table tools, and under design, as you can see, you click insert slicer. Well, first you need to highlight your area that you want to work with, and you want to click insert slicer. Now you're going to get a floating window that's basically going to come up, and it's going to ask you, what do you want to slice, or what do you want to pull out, what do you want to divide up. So we want to do it by salesperson. So you can see here that you can insert slicers under customer, account number, address, zip code, salesperson, or number of sales. Because everything in this table is individual data, it would just be individual slicers. So I want to break it down by salesperson, which will be a combined slicer. So if we click on salesperson, then click, let me move this up just a little bit so you can see it. So you click OK. And here it will tell you, it's going to ask you which one you want. So we're going to click Hank Hill, and as you can see, it basically breaks it out by salesperson. Now you could click the others too. Fred Sanford shows you what their sales are, Peg Bundy shows you what sales there are, and then blank, which it just blanks it totally out. So this can be very helpful if you're working with a lot of data, a lot of information on your spreadsheet. Okay, so let's say we want to actually get rid of the slicer. So then you would want to remove it. So what you want to do is you right click on the actual slicer, and as you can see, it's going to come up with your format options here, and then under this item here, remove salesperson. That's going to be, you see the big X, that's where it's going to remove it. So we could just go ahead and click with get rid of it. Okay, so well, let's look at it another way too, and actually insert a slicer that has multiple information. So we're going back, we highlighted our data, we click insert slicer, and we're going to do customer and salesperson. So, and hit OK. Now here you have your salesperson and your customer. So you could do this one, okay, or you could, and as you see, you click customer, and it also pulls the salesperson. Click the other customer, like Homer Simpson, it shows it's Hank Hill, and then it's Hank Hill again. But as you click Hank Hill, you notice it also highlighted the other name, the other customer, Red Fox. So it actually breaks it down as well. If you click on that, it will click on salesperson. It's going to give you the customer's name as well. Same thing. You can clear your filter by clicking right in there. It clears that filter. Same thing with this one. Clear your filter there. It goes back to the main page. And again, if we want to remove it, we can just remove the customer, remove the salesperson, and then we're back to the regular table. Alright, so you've worked with the table, but you want to convert it back to a range, which is the regular calculation Excel spreadsheet. It's called a range. So you see here we got our table, we got all the data that's still up, and we want to convert it back to the range, just a regular spreadsheet. Then we go back to our table tools, our design tab, click that, click it again, go into design tab, and if you look right here, there's under your tools group, there's convert to range tool. So basically, as you can see, it converts this table to a normal range of cells and still keeps your data. Now the colors will be all the same. As you click it, it's going to say, do you want to convert the table to a normal range? You hit yes. Basically brings it back to a normal range. As I said, all your colors and everything, your banded sheet, your banded rows are still the same because it just formatted those cells. So it will look like that's the same, nothing changed. But if you notice up here in your header row, all those columns, there's no drop down. So there's no way to really sort that as a table. Now you would have to sort it a different way, and we'll cover that later.